guys and girls. This is CA Anita Gandhi. I welcome back to my show on principles of investing. So in my two previous videos, we have learned about what are the principles of investing, and one of them which we discussed in my last series was management quality, and investors must invest into the companies which has the best of management. Today we are going to discuss about demand supply dynamics. Basically, by demand supply dynamics, what we understand is the particular product or services in which company is dealing. What is the demand supply dynamics of that particular industry or sector? The reason why we need to understand demand supply dynamics of any product or services in which company is dealing is the top line growth or degrowth of any company. The revenues come from the product and services which it sells, and any kind of changes to understand the consumer behavior or any kind of changes in the prices, one must know the overall demand supply dynamics of that particular product or services. Basically, the top line revenues of the company, they come through the product or services which they are selling, and demand is a very important criteria that impacts the prices. And the demand is basically the aggregate quantity of products or services that consumers are willing to buy, and supply is the aggregate quantity of product or that is available in the market. So, unless and until the investor has right understanding of demand and supply model, one will not be in a position to visualize the impact of change in the consumer behavior, or impact of any government regulations, or if there is any change in the taxation, what will be the impact on the revenues of the company. There is a concept called as a consumer behavior. By consumer behavior, what we mean is, say for example, the company's product or services, they are for essential goods or essential products. Then generally the consumption of essential products is concerned, even if there is an increase in prices of that particular product, that will not have a much impact on the overall demand for that product. And if it is a luxury item or any such item which is not very essential for consumption, then if the company increases prices of such products, then obviously it will have some amount of impact on the demand, and consumer has choice to defer buying such products. So that's the reason we need to know exactly what kind of products or services the company is dealing into. The overall demand supply scenario is also discussed by management in the management discussion analysis. And if there is any sudden change in the technology or something, or if there is any new product innovation, then that also leads to change in demand, and that can have impact on the overall sales of the company. Few companies are into sale of seasonal products. What we understand by seasonal demand is, say for example, during rainy season, there is a good amount of demand for the rainy footwear. Likewise, in summer season, the demand for air conditioners or white good companies, especially air conditioners, that keeps on increasing, and vice versa in case of winter. So such companies, which are into seasonal demand kind of a scenario, their sales will be fluctuating depending on the season in which their products are sold. And from that perspective, there could be volatility in the earnings of the company, and such stocks need to be bought at a time beforehand when the future demand for that particular product is going to increase. Also a concept called as a cyclical industry. What do we understand by cyclical industry or cyclical demand is, generally during the times of economic upturn, there are certain industries, heavy industries, they generally do very well when the economic activity is high. Say for example, if we are into cement industry, steel industry, construction, capital goods industries, these are generally cyclical kind of industries. And when the economy gets into downtrend, during such times, these kind of companies are likely to suffer from little lesser demand. And that's the reason the valuations of these companies, they do not command higher valuations. Generally, cyclical companies or cyclical sectors, they command lower valuations, and the timing for investing into such companies is very essential. And if you buy them at a wrong time, then obviously even if it is a good company, the investor will not be in a position to make good amount of returns out of those investments, and the price at which he is acquiring that stock also could be on the much higher side. And that is the reason one needs to understand the right cycle as far as the demand supply is concerned, and investing at the right time in such stocks will be helpful for the investor. In case of demand supply, it's not only the demand and supply for the product which the company is selling. The demand supply for the raw material is also very, very important, because if the raw material demand is much higher and the supply is lesser, in such scenario the raw material prices keep on increasing, and that will result into increased cost for that particular company, and it will result into lower margins. And that's the reason, even what is the impact or what is the demand supply scenario for the raw material, that also one needs to understand. So overall, broadly, to understand the earnings and the future earnings of the company, one needs to know how is going to be the demand for that particular product, and how is going to be the overall supply for that particular product in the industry. If you like my video, I request you all to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for my next series on principles of investing.